Hello, Algebra 1ers. We're going to do a little bit of review to start off with, and we're going to talk about equations for lines and slope-intercept form to start with. Hopefully everybody knows y is equal to mx plus b, right? That's a linear equation, and in linear equations in this form, m is always going to represent your slope, and b is always going to represent your y-intercept, or the place that the line itself would cross the y-axis. So, for example, let's make a quick coordinate plane. Uh-oh, class is over. Not really. I said that because in the background you can hear the bell ring. Alright, so we've got our coordinate plane. Let's keep that up there. We've got a coordinate plane, and there's our y-axis, and this is our x-axis. And let's just write down an equation here. Y is equal to 2x plus 1. Okay? And remember, our slope is in the position right before the x. So when we look at this equation, the 2 is in the position right before the x. So the 2 is going to be our slope. Our b, the y-intercept, comes after that. It's the thing that is either added or subtracted from the x term. And in this case, we're adding 1. So 1, or positive 1, is our y-intercept, or the place where the line, since it's a linear function, the line would cross the y-axis. To graph this, you would put a dot on 1 on the y-axis, because everybody knows, hopefully, that you start at 0, and the numbers above are the positive numbers. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, and so on. Negative y values are down underneath, so here's negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and so on. Okay? Now for the x values, positive numbers go to the right, so there's positive 1, positive 2, positive 3, positive 4 on this line. Both of these are just number lines, right? They're just two number lines that cross each other. And negative x values, of course, are then to the left. So that's negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Okay? And I'm labeling, when I put these numbers on there, representing those places on the number line, right? That's where 1 lives on the x number line. And we've plotted where 1 lives on the y number line, because this number, b, always tells you where it crosses the y-axis. So when we're graphing these, and again, this is review, we have y equals mx plus b. M is 2, b is positive 1. So what we can do is look to our slope to find out where the next point is going to be. And since 2 can be represented as 2 over 1, and we know that our slope is always going to be the change in y over the change in x. And I use the delta symbol because, hey, for the last 2,500 years, mathematicians have used that symbol, delta, to represent change. So when I say delta y, I mean the change in the y values over delta x, the change in the x values. Our slope is 2, so that tells us that in this case our slope is a change of 2 in the y direction over 1, since 2 over 1 is a fraction that can be used to represent the number 2. That tells us that we're going to go changing y by 2, and we're going to go changing x by 1. So from this location, I change in the y direction, and this is positive, because it doesn't say negative over here. Uh-oh, class is over again. The change is positive because they don't have a negative symbol on either one of these. So I'm going to, from this point, go change the y value by 2, and I'm going to change the x value by 1, so my new point lives there. Remember, we usually did this a couple of times just to get a nice lineup of points. So from here, the same thing's going to happen. I'm going to change by 2 in the y direction. I'm going to change by 1 in the x direction, so my next point can go there. And then, hopefully using a straight edge, we draw to connect the points. Now, everybody should remember this. It's an important thing to know. We're going to use it not only for Algebra 1, but we'll use it for Algebra 2. We'll use it in geometry. We use it a lot. So linear functions and graphing linear functions is just something you do a lot of in high school. And that should all be review. I wouldn't have been so concerned about letting you know that, because I think most of you remember that's how you graph lines, but quick refresher doesn't hurt. And there's some other stuff that shows up on Manga High that I thought you might need to know or need a refresher on before you attempt those problems. So if you see a graph on Manga High, it might ask you, which graph represents this function. So it might give you a function and then you have to match the graph. You know what I mean? So how would we be able to match this graph with this function? Well, clearly when we read what the function is, we know that whatever line is in the graph has to cross the y-axis at 1 and has to have a slope of 2. So when you go through there, you're checking to see, hey, does this line cross at 1 on the y-axis, and from there, does it have a slope of 2? So you can match up graphs with equations. That's not hard to do. However, what if it gave you a problem that said something like this? Y is equal to 8x plus 5. And now it asks you the question, something like, well, is the point 329 on that line? How would we solve that, or how would we come up with that answer? The easiest way, even though there's more than one way to do this, but the easiest way is to remember that our points are always listed in x and y. So the x value we're talking about here is 3, and the y value we're talking about is 29. Now it's all fine and dandy to know that 8 is your slope and 5 is your y-intercept. But in this particular question, where it says, does the point 329 exist on the line, we don't have to graph the line and then see if that point is there. We could just plug in the values for x and y and see if it makes the statement true. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say 29 goes in for my y, and 3 is going in for my x. Okay, so I've replaced my y with 29. I've replaced my x with 3. Now let's do the math and see if it works out. Is 29 equal to 8 times 3 is 24, plus 5 more. And is 29 then equal to 24 plus 5? Yeah, because if I take 24 plus 5, I get 29. So, when I plugged the point 329 into the equation, it made it true. That means that the point 329 does exist on the line y equals 8x plus 5. Alright? So, even though maybe it seems a little bit tricky, it's not. If it asks if the point exists on the line, just plug the point in and see if it makes the statement true. If it does, yes, the point is on the line. If it doesn't make it true, well, then it wouldn't be on the line, right? Okay. I think that's all the information you need to get started on your Manga High assignment. So, give it a try. Should be fun. What I'm expecting you guys to do here, though, is to not only run through the assignment once, but go through and try to get a gold medal on your assignment. Don't just go through it once, get the bronze, and say, well, I'm done for the week. Nah, go back, rework, not even rework. Try some more problems and see if you can consistently get a nice high score, stay at a nice high level, and earn those gold medals in your assignments. Okay? So, good luck. Get on Manga High, give it a try, and hopefully we'll see you real soon.